Mesopotamia. What does that strike in your mind when I say the name Mesopotamia? Do you think of big overlooming ziggurats, men with epic beards, and women that had the most colorful hairstyles that you could imagine? Perhaps the most elaborately dressed. Mesopotamia is known as the cradle of civilization. It's a place that defined what human civilization was. Unfortunately, there's not many representations of ancient Mesopotamia in video games. Right now, I'm using this ancient city building game called Nebuchadnezzar, although I can't pronounce the name, do forgive me for that, but it will represent what I'm trying to say when I'm talking about ziggurats and stuff, and it's a fantastic city builder. By the way, if you love city building games, I thoroughly recommend you get this game on Steam and give it a review. Play it and see what you think. But this was the only representation of actual Mesopotamian culture. There's a few, but there aren't that many. So Assassin's Creed Mesopotamia could be the very thing that could spark an interest in video games for ancient Mesopotamia. We could get real-time strategy games, big AAA games focused on Mesopotamian mythology, So there's not a lot, but what Assassin's Creed Mesopotamia can do is it can start an interest within developers, within other companies as well, to make more Assassin's Creed games in the Mesopotamian setting, or to make different isometric RPGs in this setting. And why not? That Mesopotamia is a perfect setting for Assassin's Creed, because the architecture of Mesopotamian cities was so different. It was so different from the other cities that were around here at this time. And you've got to think to yourself, not many people know about Mesopotamia in reality. Mesopotamia is one of those places that is underexplored. Now, if you compare Mesopotamia to ancient Egypt, you would find that there are lots of striking similarities within these cultures. But at the same time, there's not a lot of popular media about Mesopotamia itself. And I blame the fact that the media, Hollywood hasn't really gone in depth into this exciting period, because Mesopotamia is a big inspiration for what happens in the early half of the Bible. Because it is the land of kings, it is the land of stories, it is the land of the epic of Gilgamesh, it is the land of Enkidu, it is the land of Anu, it is the land where the gods practice all that weird stuff you see in Ancient Aliens. Cloning, genetics, cloning humans, where humans be as slaves. In fact, if you compare the Isu Lore, when Ezio goes down this church in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, I believe, you then see a diagram of the Isu, and you see the Isu are just basically commanding slaves. And why do the humans rise up? Here's another thing. The gods of the Mesopotamians weren't that benevolent as one would think. They weren't your sort of overall polytheistic gods that are benevolent in some ways. They're more like the Greek gods in many ways. But of course, that is down to interpretation. We don't know how the Mesopotamians lived. We're not sure in what sense they interpreted their religion, because they're no longer here. Now, of course, academics and historians might disagree with me, but to understand the culture, you need to make sure that you understand what their religion is. Without that, you will not be able to understand it. And that's the defining factor. Because if Assassin's Creed goes to Mesopotamia, it will do two things. One, I think it will make a lot of Iraqis happy. That their culture has been represented on the big source of medium, the video game industry, the entertainment. Because I remember watching this video of an Egyptian fan watching Assassin's Creed Origins. It was a trailer reaction. But the way he reacted, so many Egyptians are happy. You can just talk to so many Greeks. They're immensely happy with the way Assassin's Creed Odyssey depicted ancient Greece. I'm not talking about the Assassin's Creed stuff, I'm talking about the cities and the architecture. So why don't we have that for Assassin's Creed Mesopotamia? You have the civilizations of Assyria, and there are tons of Assyrians even living today, that are now Christian, but in the past they dominated most of Mesopotamia. So let me explain it like this. Let's imagine we have our story. A story of when Isu family survived the apocalypse. And throughout this entire history, that we see of Sumeria, Babylon, and then Assyria. I'm just, you know, shortening the timeline. The timeline is not fully accurate, but here. Okay? So what we have is an Isu family surviving through Sumerian time period. And they have to fight against the hidden ones, and they have to make sure that these hidden ones, or the Order of the Ancients, don't basically defeat them. Because this Order of the Ancients has an ancient rivalry. They perhaps survived the apocalypse, and they don't like what this new family is doing. And this new Isu family, normally they used to see humans like slaves, but now they become compassionate. They see humans more not as slaves, but they have a bit more benevolence. Yet it is this Order of the Ancients that sees these Isu, these former Isu people, these great people once, as now people that completely disrespect humanity. So if they bring humans into order, they basically protect humanity from the worst vestiges of Isu arrogance, because they've seen what the Isu have done. And this is what the Order of the Ancients are. They are the more fairer type of Isu that took sympathy on the humans, while their Isu cousins didn't do that. So you can definitely have something here. And you can have a story of how the first assassin or the first assassin master was made, how the guilds were made, how everything was established. You can definitely do this type of stuff. And I have an even more deeper, complex story. A sort of fan fiction story, but I definitely have it where the assassin, let's name him Maru, he has to go and discover all of these Isu myths, Isu laws, Isu legends. Because ultimately, he's an Isu himself. He is beginning to lose more of his memories. He's beginning to lose more of his Isu ancestry. What makes him to be an Isu? Because he just doesn't agree with the Isu ideology. And therefore, he becomes an assassin to protect humanity from the worst vestiges of the Isu gods. The Isu who have become the patrons of these Mesopotamian cities. And human cities keep on fighting each other. So if one city steals an idol, the other city will go back and reclaim it. And the Isu gods simply enjoy this, because the Isu call themselves gods, but they're not actually gods. But in this reality, the apple can change what is the powers. So the apple gives them the power. And then you can have Maru trying to figure out, is the Order of the Ancients good, the hidden ones good, or is the Order of the actual assassins, which will be formed in this game by the Isu, what will actually happen to that? Where does his loyalty lie? And then you can add so much mystery and so much intrigue. A lot of fans have been saying right now that they feel that Origins, that Odyssey or Valhalla has sort of ruined the Isu experience. I say Mesopotamia is that right title to bring back the mystery, the intrigue of how the Isu lived. And we don't necessarily need the Isu to be living futuristic. We don't necessarily need the Isu to be all mythological. What we need them to be is a more scientific depiction of how the Mesopotamians viewed them. So you see them as godly in one sense, and you also see them as scientific in the next. This game would essentially be a love letter to ancient Mesopotamia. It would be a love letter like Origins was a love letter to ancient Egypt. And there would be plenty of content to be added in this game. Mesopotamian mythology has so much potential in terms of creatures, in terms of rock demons, in terms of, these huge fearsome beasts, Lamastos as you call them. You have so much more. You can go with Gilgamesh as an Isu warrior or an Isu scientist. You can fight beasts, you can do all these type of things. It can be an Assassin's Creed game just with a few RPG settings in between. You can also include the customization of colors for your assassin's robes. I think that would be really fantastic. And you can make a large open world. You can definitely feature big scale battles. You can definitely feel things that will also make you feel like an assassin. You can climb the hanging mountains of Babylon. You can go to the big cities, and you don't necessarily need to fill it with bloat. Have 4 or 5 big cities that were important at the time, and then have your open world as it is. That's what you can do. There is so much content to be added here. You could literally make a DLC in Sumerian, Babylon, in Assyria, You can have the ancient Egyptians fighting, ancient Egyptians scheming. There's so much stuff to be done here, you know. I really think that we haven't even explored Bronze Age Egypt. That will be another video which I'll explain as to why. But look, I didn't find enough Assassin's Creed Mesopotamian content. There is none. There is no Mesopotamia stuff, unfortunately. In terms of big video games, in terms of whatever. I'm just going to finish this video by showing Yannick Dabou's artwork, which is absolutely fantastic and gives absolutely amazing potential for this Assassin's Creed Mesopotamian game. You should really check out his artwork, which goes into detail, detailing all the way how an assassin in Mesopotamia could look. And give him a like on our station, follow his artwork, and let's give him the publicity he deserves. And also wishlist that city building game called Nebuchadnezzar. It will be in the description box down below. There's not a, I'm going to basically say there's not a lot on ancient Mesopotamia. If Assassin's Creed covers it, we will get a lot of Mesopotamian stuff in the future. And if you have loved this setting so much, then why not consider giving it a like? Why not consider talking about it? You know, Mesopotamia is an underrated place, that underrated setting that we need in Assassin's Creed right now. So I want to know what you think. Should there be Assassin's Creed Babylon, Sumeria, or whatever? Would you like to see more stuff like this? Do let me know in the comment section down below. I shall see you in the next video.